Hey, soldiers, Mercedes-Benz just did something that's going to help you build wealth. Yes, I'm talking about Mercedes-Benz, the car company. They just did something, new policy that's going to help you on your road to financial independence. We're going to get into exactly what they did in just a few moments here. So hang tight. But if you are a soldier of finance, then you already know that a car or vehicle most of the time is a depreciating liability. Doesn't produce any income either, okay, most of the time. Now, if you have never heard me say that, chances are you're just not a soldier of finance yet, and we can correct that. Go ahead and enlist now. All you got to do is hit subscribe. We're not going to wake you up at 4 o'clock in the morning to do PT. We're not going to force you to jump out of a C-130 with 100 pounds of equipment. None of that. Just hit subscribe and bam, you're a soldier of finance. Now, for the veterans around here, you know that, again, the car, by and large, is a depreciating liability. Now, what we want to do as soldiers of finance is we want to acquire assets. And what do assets do? Well, they can do a variety of things. They can either appreciate in value or provide income, or they can do both. There are some assets that provide income while appreciating in value. Certain tracts of real estate, for example, do that very well. Certain stocks that pay dividends do that very well. Certain businesses that you may own do that very well. So the car, unless it is a car that is involved in a business, is usually going to be depreciating and not providing an income. Now, could you have a situation where the car appreciates in value? There are a few that do that. Most don't. Okay. Could you have a car that is providing income? Absolutely. If that car is, doing something like Uber, DoorDash, or if the car is involved in some other type of business, like, if you're a realtor, on and on and on, you get the picture. So I just want to, frame this, because the car should not be something, unless it is a part of a business. A car should never be a status symbol, okay? Not for a soldier of finance. We're smarter than that. And the car manufacturers have done one hell of a job of making the car a status symbol by a technique called product placement. So putting it in certain television programs and certain movies. Take 007, that whole franchise. He drives an Aston Martin, right? Well, he looks good in it too, doesn't he? But here's the thing. You can go out tomorrow and mortgage your future and buy a DB9 or whatever, the Vanquish or whatever the hot Aston Martin is today. And you're not going to be doing what James Bond is. You're not going to be going to these fancy cocktail parties with a tuxedo on, playing baccarat with all the beautiful women, just trying to get at you. Your wife would probably be very upset if you tried something like that, okay? So you're going to be stuck in traffic trying to get to the grocery store or get the kids from soccer practice or go to work, all right? So that's where the disconnect comes in. So pop culture has done a bang-up job of making the car a status symbol. And over the decades, many Americans have mortgaged their futures to get into a certain type of car. Well, that's not what we do here as Soldiers of Finance, because we understand that there is a different definition of wealth that we observe. And that definition has to do with financial freedom, emphasis on freedom. What does that look like? Well, it looks like someone who has multiple streams of income, someone who's not sweating losing their job because they have other streams of income coming in. They have assets that are appreciating in value and providing income. They have time that they can go out and spend with their families, their loved ones, or doing whatever it is they want to do to fulfill their lives. They may say, you know what, overtime's being offered, but I don't need it. I'm going to go to my son's baseball game, my daughter's recital. That's wealth for a soldier of finance. So what did Mercedes-Benz just do that's going to help you build wealth? Mercedes-Benz hikes vehicle prices by 43% as only the rich can afford it. Now, you might be saying, well, wait a minute. They hiked prices, Tyrone. What are you talking about? They helped me out. Mercedes-Benz might be returning to the days when corporate executives and only the affluent could afford to roll down the street in German luxury. That's because a new Benz reached an average price of $76,590 in 2022. That's a 43% increase over 2019. So you see, from the standpoint of their business, oh, they must be doing gangbusters if they're raising prices by 43%. Okay. But now you are expected to go out and pay 43% more for an item that's going to lose a crap ton of its value in the first year of ownership. That sounds backwards to me, right? So when you sit down as a soldier of finance, your little finger may be hovering over that subscribe button. You're a recruit to the soldiers of finance until you hit subscribe. And you might be thinking, well, yeah, that just sounds backwards. Why would I pay 43% more for something that is decreasing in value? It's not providing me any income. Why would I do that? Now, some might say, hey, I might want to look at some shares of Mercedes-Benz. If they're raising prices by 43%, maybe they deserve some due diligence, me to take a look at them and see if it's worth me jumping on that train, hitching my wagon to their star and seeing if I can ride this to profitability. I'm not suggesting you invest in Mercedes-Benz. You got to decide that by doing your own due diligence. According to Bloomberg, Mercedes is undergoing a push to what's called upmarket by focusing on top-end models like the S-Class sedan to bolster profits. The company has been working through pent-up demand after chip shortages curbed production last year. So the production is down, the prices are up. They are really shooting to make this thing like it was when I was growing up. You didn't see many Mercedes-Benz at all. Okay. In my neighborhood, I'm going to be flat out honest with you. We might have seen one occasionally because we did have a dentist that lived about a mile away and he was doing very well and he owned one, but we didn't see him that often. Okay. So we didn't see a lot of these cars. Now today, every time you turn around, there's a Mercedes-Benz. The German automaker appears to be taking a different path versus the last decade of providing entry-level models for the average person. So they're getting out of that. Bloomberg also pointed out Mercedes is not alone. Around the world, manufacturers are reaping the benefits of selling fewer but more expensive cars. In the U.S., the average monthly payment for a new car nearly doubled from late 2019. And as battery-powered vehicles tend to cost more than the average combustion engine car, the shift to EVs may make the affordability crisis even worse. All right, and just so you know, the average monthly auto payment is around $777, according to Kelley Blue Book. For a decade, the average new car payment in the U.S. bumped along at roughly $400 a month. That's about as much as a typical American household can shell out and still meet other expenses, said John Smoke, chief economist at Cox. But it crossed that mark in November of 2019 as it has been soaring ever since. So cars are becoming more and more expensive. I'm not playing that game. Let me give you a quick story. Now, I owned a Mercedes-Benz at one point. I owned an SLK. This was around 2007 that I leased this car. Now, let me tell you, I leased the car because I'm a big fan of Speed Racer, okay? I used to run home from school to watch it every day. And I just fell in love with the Mach 5, his car. And, I had some money in my pocket. I was doing good as a lobbyist. And I said, you know what? I'm going to buy a BMW, what was it, the X3. And my wife said, nah, I don't like that car. You should buy an SLK by Mercedes. And so that's what I did. And I enjoyed the car because it did remind me of the, Speed Racer's car. And you know what that car did? It sat in the garage most of the time. It wasn't practical. And guys, I got to be honest with you, I felt ostentatious as hell in that car. It was an expensive lesson on many fronts. Chief of which was it taught me that I am not the type of person who likes a lot of attention. Okay, not of that type anyway. And look, I'm not begrudging anyone who feels differently. All right, if you legitimately have the money to do it, and it's not going to hurt you in any other aspect of your life, then you got to live. I get it. But I went out and I bought that car, and then it was time to trade it in and get rid of the lease, and that's what I did. And I didn't feel good in it because people were looking at me, and it just felt so ostentatious. Now, maybe if I was in Miami where there are a whole bunch of nice cars, maybe it would have been different, okay? But I wasn't in Miami, okay? So there's that. So what do we have to do with this news, guys? Well, first and foremost, let's just be very mindful of the money that we could put toward building our future. Our future. I want to build my future more than I want to build the future for the corporation called Mercedes-Benz or any other car company. So you're going to see me in my little Volvo wagon.
What kind of black man drives a Volvo?
A black man that appreciates safety.
And I'm going to be happy. I like the term stealth wealth. I don't like to be ostentatious or show off or whatever. And I like to have my money working for me. I don't like to have, the Mercedes-Benz in the garage steadily losing value while I'm too modest to drive it. Okay. So I didn't even get the full value out of the car. They turned that car in, it had far less miles on it than it didn't even come close to the limit of the mileage that I was allowed on that lease. All right, soldiers, take a look at this report. Do not use your Discover card if you have one until you watch this, because I cannot believe the audacity that these credit card companies have these days. But you're going to need to watch this report. And listen, what we talk about in this report, this is just the camel's nose under the tent. You combine this with CBDCs and all that other stuff, all those other mechanisms that are coming down the pipe to control us through our money. And this is very disconcerting, very concerning at the same time. So guys, check out that report, and I will talk to you soon.